Hey everyone, Steve here from My Crypto World. Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to have a very quick look at the market cycles and we're going to cover off two news stories. Now the first one, as you would have seen if you've been following me, last week we spoke about the fact that our market cap should be really at around about the $20 trillion mark, not the $1 trillion mark. Well, we've got another news article for you that states that our market cap could be as high as or grow to as high as 200 trillion. So we'll be covering that off. And we'll also look at another one that states the worst case scenario we could expect out of the cryptoverse. All that right after this. Okay, so let's have a look at the market cycles and see where things have gone. Not a great deal has happened. As we spoke last week, we mentioned that the market may come down, and that's kind of what it's done. It hit the $1.151 trillion mark. We knew that that was a major resistance level for the total market cap, and since then the market's fallen away from that. It hasn't really gotten back up there. It may continue to fall way back down to $870 billion mark. If it does that, I'm not overly concerned because we know that that's going to be a major support for that. And to see that bouncing off of that would be actually very healthy. Even though people at the moment, if you've bought in up here, up at the top part, you would be seeing your portfolio in the red. Unless, of course, you're a swing trader or you're short trading and making money of the market off the market while the market is moving down. Now, if we have a look at Bitcoin, which is the largest cryptocurrency on the market at the moment, you can see that it's actually moving beautifully between the support and resistance lines here. So it had come up last week, as we spoke about. If you had a trend line on that, you would say that the trend was still in an upward momentum, but it's since broken through that, and it's now resting perfectly on the $20,000 support line. So I just don't feel the market will drop much lower than that. There's nothing to stop it though from dropping back down to 12,000 where it was previously, but I just feel that it's got a lot more strength in the market. There's a lot more people backing the cryptocurrency space at the moment, and we'll be covering off a number of different stories over the next couple of days that highlight what's happening there in the crypto space anyway. So Bitcoin, although it's come down, as I said, it's resting on a support line, and that's a real positive thing if you understand technical analysis. So we're pretty happy with that. If you have a look at the rest of the market, all the altcoins, everything's just moving along sideways nicely. Nothing's really breaking below its lowest resistance line. We're just seeing everything just sort of stabilize. I mentioned months and months ago that we may see this sideways movement for quite a while before the market picks back up, and that's perfectly healthy for that to happen. Typically speaking, the longer the direction sideways, the stronger the momentum will be when it does take off again. So this is, what's this one, Polkadot. We'll have a look at Matic. Now, Matic came up dramatically over the last couple of weeks and again is just moving sideways at the moment. It's sitting at about the 77-cent mark, and you can see if you follow that small green line all the way along back to its history, way back in April 2021, you can see it had quite a bit of resistance around that pricing, and that's what we're experiencing again now. It's just finding stability before it hopefully bounces back up from that. Shiba Inu, again, although it's come back down from its recent high, you can still see that it's still continuing to be above a trend line. That's a pretty basic trend line I've drawn in there, but it is one nonetheless. And although the low at the moment is probably a little bit lower than the previous low, it's not looking too bad if you're a Shiba fan. Solana, again, we could pick any number of these coins and just have a look at them. Theta, although the market's down, they're still sitting well above their previous resistance line. So Theta's one, for example, was at 95 cents. It's currently at about $1.15. It hasn't broken below 95 cents before, and it tends to be doing at the moment what's this channel trading, we would call it, where it's just trading in and out of anywhere between $1.60 and 95 cents. So again, a nice sideways movement there, nothing to be too concerned about. If we have a look at the S&P 500, we can see that the market, the total market cap that we look at, the total cryptoverse, I guess, has fallen quite dramatically, but it's nothing unusual when you know that the S&P 500 has also dropped. It's dropped from 4,200 down to 4,057, and it is still in free fall at the moment. It hasn't stopped. So when you compare the crypto space to the actual rest of the stock market, I guess, you can see that it's all correlated. So I'd be more concerned if the crypto market had dropped, but the S&P 500 had continued to rise. That would be a bit of an alarm bell for me. But the fact that this has happened as well, it sort of puts it all together nicely. It's a global thing that's going on. It's not something that's unique to the cryptoverse. Now, covering off in our news articles, I'll just bring them up if I can find it. Okay, so I spoke to you last week about the fact that we were probably headed for a $20 trillion market cap over the next couple of years. I think it was the day after I posted that, this article came out from Raoul Pal, who was obviously a market guru, has been in the industry for a long time and used to work for Goldman Sachs. So he's got a lot of history in trading and in hedge funds and a few other industries. But the article goes on to say that the crypto market cap could burst to 200 trillion amid the largest wealth accumulation in history. The former Goldman Sachs executive says that an explosion of the crypto market cap by 200x in the next decade is certainly in the realm of possibility. In an interview with crypto analyst Scott Melker, the market guru says we could witness an unprecedented accumulation of wealth in the next 10 years. And he goes on to quote, so what I do know is that if I just extrapolate the network adoption effects, the number of users and where the number of users is going to, and assume it gets somewhere between 4 and 5 billion in the next 10 years or so, which would be central bank digital currencies enabling it, all ticking a whole bunch of stuff going that way, the market cap of the space goes from 1 trillion to 200 trillion. People don't realize the world has never seen an accumulation of wealth like this in history. It would be the shortest period of time of the largest accumulation of wealth ever seen. While Pal is extremely bullish on long-term prospects of the crypto, he acknowledges that he could be wrong by a wide margin. But even if I'm wrong, he says, let's say I'm a total moron and I'm wrong by 90%. We're still at a $20 trillion from $1 trillion, and I'd still take that bet any day because it's the best bet in the world, and that's me being wrong by 90%. So, and it says at the time of writing, the crypto market cap was hovering slightly below 1 trillion. And as I said before, I think we are just above that. Where are we? Total market cap. What are we at the moment? Yeah, we're just under a trillion at the moment. So 954 billion. So interesting article. Now, to counter that, there was another article that came out, again, quoting Raoul Pal. And it says, here's his worst case scenario for Bitcoin in 10 years. And so you just take it into context. So he's saying we could have a $200 trillion industry. He acknowledges in the last article he could be wrong by 90%. It might only be a $20 trillion industry, but it's still a 20x time your money if you take that bet. And it just says in this article that Pal goes on to recount his observations of being an early Bitcoin investor when the asset was still valued at below $1,000, noting that he believes Bitcoin will ultimately be worth $100,000 at a minimum and could go even higher, go as high as millions of dollars. I never realized how, in an exponential trend, buying and holding and adding to the big sell-offs is better. I went back and looked at all the times I traded Bitcoin from 2013 when I first got in at $200. God, could you imagine it? I wrote it up to 1,000, so it went up 5 times in 2 months. Then it went all the way back down 85%. I just held it because I wanted to treat it like an option, and I had a 10-year view. And this is interesting because this is my view on the crypto space as well. You've got to have a long-term plan for this. If you want to day trade and do all that sort of stuff, that's great. I'm just more of a passive investor. I know where things are headed, and I've got a great 10-year outlook for that. I said it's probably going to $100,000 worst case, or $1 million best case over the next 10 to 20 years. And he just goes on to say he's got a few different tokens. His main bets are Ethereum and Solana, but I have no idea whether Solana is going to be something or not. I probably think it's going to be because the network adoption seems to be as high as anything else, but the world can change fast. So again, when you've got somebody like Raoul Pal coming out with these, I guess his view on things, he's got he's probably got a better micro and macro view of everything in the market space at the moment than most other people do have. So even if, like he said, he's wrong by 90%, the market space itself will absolutely grow by 20-fold. Now, there's a number of different articles that I'm going to cover off during this week that show crypto adoption is on the rise massively. Everything from fuel companies through to big payment companies, and we'll cover them off in the next couple of days. That's it for today. Have an awesome week. If you like what we cover, please give us a thumbs up and click like and subscribe if you want to be informed of the most up-to-date news articles that we cover on this channel. Take care of yourselves, and we will speak again soon. Cheers.